seems like a really popular question people ask. Do we have free will? Do we not? Is it a meaningful question? And what would you say about whether we have free will?
Yeah, I mean, generally, I would say no. It's not a meaningful question. I mean, it's meaningful in the sense that people have asked it for the entire history of human civilization, and there's a lot to say about it. But I would say it's not meaningful in the sense that the whole idea of asking a question is that you have something on your mind, and it could get a yes or a no, and so on. Like the whole context of a question, or let me say that sentence differently. Questions are phenomena of freedom. So if it's a question, it's already been answered, right? So I would say I think that there's a kind of a self-contradiction in the very experience in which people doubt about themselves that they might be free. So Descartes, in the Meditations on First Philosophy, said you can't really doubt your own existence. You can say it, but just to say I doubt it, you have to affirm yourself being there to do the doubting. And I guess I'm sort of making a similar point here. In fact, I think Simone de Beauvoir says something like what I'm saying here in the Ethics of Ambiguity. But the very process in which you would doubt that you're free is putting your freedom on display. It's putting on display the fact that you can ask questions, that things are meaningful to you, et cetera, et cetera. So in that sense, I would say it's not a meaningful question, but I don't really mean by that to belittle it. I really meant there to bring out that idea that I think the very asking of the question already shows what the answer has to be. But I think, I think the thing I was saying about Heidegger and anxiety and so on, like these are experiences we have where we recognize profoundly that something matters to us. It matters that our lives be meaningful. Whether you call it freedom or not doesn't matter. The reality that is attested to you in your own experience that something matters to you, and that's the answer. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say, though, is we can really misunderstand the nature of our freedom, because we often think of freedom as meaning, I can choose this or that. I can just do things myself. And part of, if you think back on the things I was just saying about addiction, part of the thing you see when you think about addiction is how much you're not simply free in that sense that I just said, right? The simple presence of the cigarette draws out of you the action of smoking it, so they're basically, through our habits, we build a world that kind of controls us, and the choices that we do make and the thoughts that we do think are not things that we just crafted entirely on our own. They're things we've taken over from our upbringing, and especially from these things I was saying about how we enter into a dynamic of recognition with our parents and so on, and how we were formed. So I think, what I would say about freedom is that, on the one hand, I would say, yes, we certainly are free in the sense that things matter to us, and any person can find that out for him or herself. But it doesn't. But saying that we're free in that sense doesn't mean that we're automatically, I guess, in control of ourselves. That very thing that is our freedom, we discover, was shaped by us, I guess, through those formative processes of childhood and whatever, so that by the time you or I as an individual kind of come on the scene choosing a life, it's a big part of us was already designed for us, by our earlier selves. And so who we are was sort of shaped for us kind of behind our back by our own not yet well-developed childhood selves in interaction with our parents and our society and so on. And so, yes, we're free, but we also kind of find our freedom is controlled by a kind of alien force that we don't really understand. And that's then again that challenge that to really be free is going to involve a process of ourselves sort of sorting ourselves out, trying to figure out who we are, and then trying to own it. Is that helpful?
Yeah,